get this question all the time. So much so that a while ago I did my research and looked up the biggest, hottest startups to see when they trademark their brands. And it was no surprise to me that all of them have done it eventually. My question was, how long did it take them after they launched to file their first trademark application? And the results are very telling. So, Uber, the $51 billion startup, they trademarked their brand 2 months before they launched. Firefox, 2 months before launch. Google, same month. Facebook, same month. Periscope, same month. And it can go on and on and on. Some of them did it before, some of them did it the same month, some of them did it a few months after, some of them did it 5 or 6 months after. But the important thing is they all did it while there were still nobodies. They all did it when they were not even on the map. They all did it for one simple reason. They believed that they could become the next big thing. So when you're asking me, should I trademark the name for my startup, what you're really asking me is, should I really believe that I'm capable of building something that might become the next big thing? I can't answer that question for you. But here's the thing, if you don't believe that what you're building has any value, why are you spending your time doing it? And if you do believe that there's a chance, not certainty, not probability, a chance, a tiny little chance that you might end up having something that everybody's going to talk about, that you are creating something that a lot of people would find interesting, that a lot of people would end up using, my advice to you is trademark the brand as soon as you possibly can, because it's a lot easier to protect your brand when nobody knows about it, when nobody believes in it the way you do, and when nobody has taken steps to take it away from you. You don't have haters, you don't have people who envy you. Everybody thinks you're crazy. Good. Protect the brand, protect the asset. And if it does end up being something big, you'll thank me. Uber, Google. They didn't say, you know what, let's wait till we have the first 1 million customers, the first 100,000 visits. They did it because they believed that they could have 1 million users. They believed that they could have 100,000 visits. And they did it right away. And you should as well. Trademarks are registered on a per country basis. So your US trademark doesn't protect you in China. Your Chinese trademark doesn't protect you in Canada. Your Canadian trademark doesn't protect you in France, and so on and so forth. So the simple answer how to decide where to register your trademarks is to look at where your customers come from. It doesn't really matter where you're based out of. If you're a Chinese company but most of your business comes from the US, you need a US trademark. If you are a US company but most of your business comes from European Union, you want a European Union trademark. So don't look at where you are, look at where your market is and decide based on whether you have enough business coming from that region or that country, and then you go and register your trademarks there. But I want to warn you, sometimes your business grows so fast that you may have markets that you didn't know would be important for you and you didn't trademark there. So the classic example is when Starbucks decided to come to Russia only to find out that somebody had already trademarked their brand. So not only couldn't they trademark the brand, they couldn't even come to Russia because the brand was already taken. So it took them several years, it took them many years and a lot of money to get that trademark back. So you don't want to be in that situation. You want to make sure that you're the first person to realize the value of your brand for any particular region. So if your business is growing, make sure you register your trademarks everywhere where you have enough business or where you think you're going to have enough business in the foreseeable future. Ideally, you want to trademark them both as two separate trademarks. because each would protect different elements of your brand. One would protect the literal part of it, the name, and the other one would protect the graphic representation of that name. So usually we get this question when the client does not have the budget to file two separate trademarks. And so here are the considerations for you to decide whether you want to file for the name or the logo. So first of all, the question is, what kind of logo is this? Is it just the image, the icon, or is it the icon plus the name? Or is it just the name in a fancy font? Right? That's important. It's because if the icon does not contain the name at all, then in 90% of the case, or 99% of the cases, you want to go with protecting the name, because that's more important. Icons change, logos change, the names usually stay the same. If the logo contains both the icon and the name, so that's called the combined mark. If you only have the budget for one, yeah, usually that's what you want to file for, the combination of the image and the name. If what you have is just the name in some fancy font, usually you'd want to file for the name again, because that name would be protected in any font, and it will allow you to protect the stylized version and the name itself, whether it's in Arial font or Times New Roman font or whatever fancy font you came up with. Now, the only time you elect to do logo and not the name would be if the registration of the name itself is problematic. So you would use the logo as that added element that would make your brand distinctive or different from whatever else has been filed or registered before. So you would have an extra argument that, look, we're not trying to get a monopoly on the name. We understand that there might be some confusion there. That's why we have a slightly different name, but most importantly, we have this graphic element that makes this brand trademarkable. So again, if both are perfectly registrable, usually the name is more important than the logo. If the name is not trademarkable or problematic, then you would probably go with the logo. And if you have a very distinctive name and very distinctive logo, but you only have the money to go for one trademark, and our payment plans don't help you, and you really can't afford to do two separate trademarks, at that point in time, you may want to vote to get the combination, build the business stronger, and then still file two separate trademarks after that. In this case, you'll end up owning three brands. One would be the combination, the other one would be the word mark, and the third one would be the logo. First of all, an unregistered trademark protects you only in the geographical area where enough people know about you under that brand. So what that means is that with an unregistered trademark, you would need to prove that your brand is a trademark, that you own it, and that it's known to enough people in the geographical area where you're claiming that it should be protected. With a registered trademark, the first benefit is that you get a presumption of ownership. And what that means is that your trademark registration certificate is enough evidence that your brand is recognized as a trademark and that you're recognized as its legal owner. Now, it can be disputed, very rarely gets disputed, but now it's up to the other side to prove that your brand is either not a trademark or that you don't own it or that you shouldn't own it. So, first one is the presumption of ownership. The second benefit is that registered trademarks are federal. So your registered trademark is protected all across Canada if you have a Canadian trademark, or all across the US if you have a US trademark. So it doesn't make it international by itself, but it protects you all across the country, even if nobody's ever heard of you in a particular area of that country. And the third benefit is that the only way for you to protect a trademark before it's launched is to file for registration, to apply for registration. And here's the idea. As I said, unregistered trademarks protect you where enough people know about you in the geographical area where you offer your products and services. By definition, it means that you've already launched. You have enough people who've heard about you under that brand and who remember you under that brand. And if you just come up with a great idea, it's here, it's in your head. If you haven't launched it yet, there's absolutely no way to protect it other than file an application to the trademarks office saying, this is the brand that I want to protect. A lot of companies trademark their brands before they launch them because they knew that it would take them a while to establish enough evidence to be able to claim protection for their unregistered trademark. So what they did is they come up with a name, they trademarked it, and then they started using it right and left because they knew that the brand was already protected. There are two parts to that. The first part is the government fees, what you pay to the government to get it done. And the whole thing starts with the filing fee. In most countries, the filing fee will depend on the number of classes of goods and services in which you file your trademark application. There are countries, for example Canada, that currently has a single filing fee regardless of how many products and services go in your application, but most of the times the more products and services means the more you pay as a filing fee. There's also the fee, it's called post allowance fee. So after your trademark gets allowed, in certain cases, you'd have to pay an additional fee to get your trademark from applied to registered. And sometimes there's also government fees in the middle when you require some extra time to respond to whatever the trademarks office may throw at you. So for example, you got an office action, they gave you a 6-month deadline, you don't have the time to answer that in time. You may request an extension of time, and sometimes it may come with a relatively small fee for you to be able to do that. So that's the government fee. You can't get away from them. The second part is what you pay to professionals to do the work for you. So if you're doing everything yourself, you don't pay any money, obviously, to do this for you. What you're paid with is your time, and sometimes it's a valid decision if you really know what you're doing. But if you're hiring somebody else to help you with that, you'd pay them whatever they charge you. And so there's different ways to approach that. Most firms have a combined system where they have a flat fee to file your trademark application, and then they have a whole catalog of fees for each and every little step that they're going to inevitably take to get your trademark through. And they'd send you a 3-page or 2-page schedule of fees, and most business owners have no idea how to look at that. That's really why I came up with the idea of Trademark Factory in our all-inclusive package, where you pay one flat fee and it covers everything from start to finish. So whoever you're going to use, look at what you're being promised, what you're paying for, and make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. So you can't really compare somebody's fee for filing your trademark to somebody else's fee to take the entire process from start to finish. Most countries recognize your trademark registration for 10 years, and you can renew it for another 10 years, and then another 10 years, and another 10 years. So they go in 10-year increments. In Canada, currently, the initial term is 15 years. You can renew for another 15, and so on. It's very likely that Canada is going to be transitioning to 10-year period to align itself with the rest of the world very soon. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen eventually. The only exception that you should bear in mind is that in the US, you need to file a post-registration statement of use between the 5th and 6th year of your registration to show the Trademarks Office that you're still using your trademark, that you're still interested in protecting it, and they require you to take action to show them that. But other than that, there are no fees in the middle of registration and the next renewal, and then the next renewal. All-inclusive package is our most popular package. It's what 87% of our clients choose. There's a reason behind that. It's one flat fee that covers everything from start to finish in terms of what we do for you. We draft your application, we file your application, we stay in touch with you every step of the way. If we get any objections from the trademarks office, they're called an office action, we're going to spend as much time as necessary to either fix your application or argue with the trademark examiner, or sometimes it's the combination of the two things. Once your trademark gets approved, we will again be on top of everything. We'll wait for the process to go through the opposition period. When your trademark gets allowed, we will file a statement of use or a declaration of use if necessary. And when we get your trademark registration certificate, we will frame it and give it or mail it to you, depending on whether or on where you are. And the best thing about all-inclusive package is that it comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. So this is how this works, and we have a separate video that explains how the guarantee works. But when we do the free trademark search for you, if we tell you that we think your trademark is registrable, that trademark will come with a 100% money-back guarantee if you go with the all-inclusive package. And what that means is that if we file your trademark with the all-inclusive package, if it doesn't go through, if it gets rejected by the trademarks office, we get a final rejection, then in addition to a heartfelt apology, you're going to get all of your money back. We're the only firm in the world that has an all-inclusive package that covers everything from start to finish at a single flat fee. We're the only firm in the world that has a 100% money-back guarantee if your trademark doesn't go through. Whether it's because of us, or because of them, or because of something else. It really doesn't matter. You're protected, no risk, you know the budget. We knew that brand owners hate uncertainty. We knew that brand owners are fed up with not knowing the budget for trademarking, with not getting straight answers to how much is it going to cost, with not getting straight answers to the question of, well, what if it doesn't go through? Can we get our money back? Everybody else is going to tell you no because we've spent so much time working on your case. What we're going to tell you is, you're not paying us for our time, you're paying us for the result. If you can't deliver the result, it's immoral for us to keep your money. So that's what all-inclusive package is all about. One flat fee, 100% money back guarantee.